Today we're going to be discussing about the drum notation. So I call it drum theory. So we're going to be discussing about drum. We're going to be talking about drum music theory. Yep, drum music theory. So we're going to be having sections like this. Okay, starting from today. So we're going to be talking about drum music theory today. So we are going to be focusing on the drum notation. The drum notation. Yeah, we're going to be focusing on the drum notation. So first of all, before you can get to understand what the drum notation is, you have to first of all understand what a staff is. So we're going to quickly drive through that. We're going to have a different section where we talk about music theory, understanding the music piece and all of that. But today we're just going to focus more on the drums, on the 5-piece drum or even more. If or even more. Yeah. So first of all, let's talk about the staff. Now we have what is called the music staff. There's no way you can understand what a drum notation is if you don't understand what a music staff is. A music staff is made up of 5 lines. A music staff is made up of 5 lines and four spaces. Music staff is made up of 5 lines and 4 spaces. And one other thing you need to understand about a music staff is you start counting the positioning of those lines and those spaces from the bottom. The counting starts from the bottom. So I'm just going to write out the point. Counting starts from the bottom. So the counting starts from the bottom. So without wasting much of our time, we'll just like to quickly go straight to talk about the staff. So now I've already said the musical staff is made up of 5 lines and 4 spaces and the counting staff from the bottom. So let's see how that works. So yes, for the musical staff, we have the 5 lines. So we're going to draw out some lines now. Please take note of what I said earlier before I got to this part. I said it's made up of 5 lines, 4 spaces, and then I said you start counting from the bottom. So take note of those 3 important things. They are very, very important. So I'm just trying to extend this so it's enough for all the explanation we're going to be doing. Yep, so it's enough for all the explanation we're going to be doing. So first of all, this is a staff. We're not being specific for anything, whether it's for the voice, music, or anything, because there's no sign, there's no clef sign on it. So yep, this is a staff, and then I said it's made up of 4 lines, 5 lines and 4 spaces. So this is line 1, starting from the down. You start counting from the down. There's an arrow that shows the direction of the counting. This is line 1. This becomes line 2. This becomes line 3. This becomes line 4, and this is line 5. Now the same thing with the space. This is space 1. This is space 2. This is space 3, and this is space 4. So that's what a staff is. A staff is 5 lines and 4 space. And this staff can be used to write different type of music. The vocal parts, the voicing, we're talking about the treble voice, the alto, the tenor, the soprano, and then other voices that are in between them. And then we can also use the staff also to write out music piece for different instruments, the bass guitar, the lead guitar, the drum, the piano, the different type of musical instrument. In as much as a musical instrument and has a note, we can also write them on the staff. So yep, let's go back to what we're talking about today, which is the drum staff. So first of all, before it can be a drum staff, there's a sign it carries. So you can see most drum piece with the bass clef sign. So remember, we're just going to focus on the drums. There are different type of clefs in music that you can use to write different music piece, but we're just focusing on the drums. So some drum piece, you can see them carrying the bass clef sign, but generally drum has its own clef sign. Yeah, it has its own clef symbol, and then it's like 2 pillars. two single pillars. You have one, you have two, and these pillars are written between line one. The pillar is written between line 2 and line 4. So I'm going to draw it out so you see. Maybe let me use a different color so that becomes separate. So pillar 1, yep, sorry about that, the black is dominating. So yep, it's written this way, just like two pillars, 2 1, and then this is how generally a drum staff is written with this sign. But sometime you might see the bass clef sign on it. So if you're seeing the bass clef sign, I'm going to wipe it out. So the bass clef sign will look like this. If you're seeing the bass clef sign, it's going to look like this. So this is the way it will look like if it's the bass clef sign. Yeah, but but most of the time you're not going to be seeing the bass clef sign, except for some rare cases. You're not going to be seeing the bass clef sign. You'll be seeing the drum. I call it the drum clef sign itself. So yes, so this is how the sign looks like. Then the next thing we're going to discuss about is, trying not to make this video to be too long, the next thing we're going to discuss about is the positioning of each of the parts of the drum. Each of the drum parts is the positioning of each of the drum parts. So first of all, we're going to start from the down parts, the part where we are counting from. First of all, you have the X, you have the X, you have an X sign like this, an X sign like this. So you have an X sign like that hanging on directly below the line 1. So that sign, that when you have a sign like this is referred to as, I'm going to write it on the top. This is referred to as the hi-hat with foot. So when you see a sign like this, it's being referred to as the hi-hat. Sorry, trying to get a different marker. The hi-hat with foot. So if you see a sign like this on any music piece, just know that it's referring to the hi-hat with foot. Then the next one is the bass drum. So the bass drum is on the first space 1. So that's where we have the bass drum. The bass drum is in space 1. So this is referred to as the bass drum. Then the next one after the bass drum is referred to as the side drum or the floor tom. So it comes on space 2. The side drum or the floor tom comes on space 2. You can call it the side drum, or you can refer to it as the floor tom. So it comes on space 2. Then after that we have the space 3. We have the space 3, which is referred to the drum part that is on the space 3 rather, is one of the very important aspects of the drums, which is the snare drum. So the space 3 has the snare drum. So space 3 has a snare drum. Remember, space 1, space 2, space 3. Number space 1, space 2, space 1, space 2, space 3. So the space 3 has the snare drum on it. Don't forget that. So just trying to make this neat and very explanatory. So the space 3 has a snare drum. Then after the space 3, let's just go straight and deal with this. So after the space 3, we have the line 4. The line 4. So the line 4 is the first tom. So on the line 4, we have the first tom. So I'm just going to present the position. The first tom is what we have for the line 4. Sorry, it's because of the breeze. It's actually drying out the marker. So the line 4 has the first tom. Then after the line 4, we have the space 4. So I'm going to take the stem of this down. So we have the space 4. Sorry, we have the space 4. So the space 4 is the second or the middle tom. So whatever you want to call it, the second or the middle tom. Then after that, we also have the crash, the ride, and other, and the rest of it. So now the space 4 is middle tom or second tom, whatever you want to call it. Then we have on line 5, like this. I'm also going to take this head down. So on line 5 we have the ride cymbal. On line 5 we have the ride cymbal. We have the right cymbal on line 5. Then that's resting on the line. That's on the line itself. So, but that's an X sign. Remember, for the cymbals, the notation for the cymbals is different. For the cymbals, we have X notation, while for other part of the drums, we have a round drum head. So we also have the hi-hat. So it's going to be on it. You see, it's resting on the line. It's not on the line itself, it's resting on the line. You can see this resting on the line, on the 5th line, not written on the 5th line. It's resting on the 5th line. So this will go down. So this is referred to as, sorry, so this does not get confusing. This is the right cymbal, and this is referred to as the hi-hat. That's the hi-hat, the right cymbal, the hi-hat, and then we have the crash. The crash is going to be on, in music, there's what we refer to as ledger lines. Ledger lines are the lines that are outside of the 5, the lines of the staff, the normal lines of the staff, the 5 lines and the 4 space. So the crash is going to be on the first ledger line after the 5th line. So the crash is going to be resting on the first ledger line after the 5th line. So this is going to be the crash cymbal. So I hope this was, I hope this short explanation was helpful. Remember, every other part of the drum uses the normal head, the normal music note symbol, uses the normal music note symbol. Sorry, uses the normal music note symbol. Why the cymbal, everything, the cymbal, the hi-hat, they use a different notation, like an X instead of the rounded head. They use the X. So this is for the cymbals and the hi-hat. Yep. So stay tuned for more of this explanation. We're also going to be having more explanation on this. Thank you so much for watching. You can drop your comment if you have any question or contribution. Drop it on the comment box, and thank you. God bless you. Stay tuned, subscribe, like our videos, share, and yeah, we're going to be bringing you more explanation and more teaching on music theory, on drum theory, and all that. So thank you so much, and bye bye for now.